It's time now for a look at the latest in local news. In the news, both the City of Jesup Commission and the Wayne County Board of Education met Tuesday. We have more from those meetings, beginning with the city meeting. Again, a common thing at many city meetings is the request to rezone property in the city limits. Always an interesting item on the agenda, as the commissioners have the final say in whether or not to grant the rezoning request. But before the request appear on the city agenda, the city has a planning and zoning board, and these requests appear before that board before it comes to the city meeting. Each commissioner has a representative on that zoning board, and it's the zoning board's duty to make the recommendation to the city commissioners after they've heard all the information regarding the request. Sometimes the zoning board approves the request, sometimes they deny the request, but again, they're just a recommendation to the city council. City council has the final say on whether or not to rezone the property. At Tuesday's meeting, two different requests were on the agenda. One was approved on a 4-2 vote with Commissioners Tim Cockfield and Bill Harvey voting against. So that was just the first reading, and that has to appear on another agenda for a second reading and approval. This request to rezone at 1797 South 1st Street from R2 to C3. The request by Danny and Maria Wingate on the agenda. Wingate's on hand explaining they want to clear the lot and build some type of retail business, but have not made a final decision at this time on what type of business would be put there. Residents who live nearby were on hand opposing the request, stating that they are concerned about the increase in traffic. Commissioner Tim Cockfield said that he heard from residents in Wayne Terrace who are opposed. Once again, this request was approved by the zoning board, and the first reading by the commissioners approved on a 4-2 vote. Second request to rezone at 1203 Bethlehem Road from R3 to C3. The request from Anthony Robinson, who says he plans to open up an agricultural equipment business at the site. Building Inspector Don Heron reported that zoning board had not taken any action, but the request died for a lack of a motion. Tim Cockfield said that in his opinion, that's a unanimous vote by the rezoning board against the rezoning. Opposition at the meeting from Phyllis Westbury, who says her family has owned adjacent property forever and she's worried about the water backing up from the development and also increase in traffic. Jonathan McCullough felt that the zoning board simply didn't have enough information and told Robinson to get a site plan done and resubmit it to the zoning board. Commissioner Tim Cockfield said he didn't understand why the council would not accept the recommendation from the zoning board. He says, why are they there if we're not going to take their recommendation? But Jonathan McCullough reminded Tim Cockfield that on the other request he voted against had been approved by the zoning board by unanimous vote. Cockfield warned his fellow commissioners that they need to be careful when they start rezoning property commercial and begin not looking after long-term residents who don't want the property rezoned. Each time Commissioner Cockfield asked the people making the rezoning request, didn't you know what the property was zoned before you bought it? Once again, both requests will appear before the commissioners once again, as the one that passed 4-2 did not pass unanimously, so there has to be a second reading. It will continue to follow the story as it develops. Another major story from Tuesday's meeting is a word from the wastewater treatment plant supervisor Patrick Martin and Water Department Supervisor Anthony Crawford that they have an emergency situation with East Jesup sewer infrastructure. So the commissioners approved $74,000 for Southeast Pipe to come in and look at the serious issues with the pipes in the East Jesup area. Survey expected to begin 2 to 3 weeks and take about 2 to 3 weeks to complete. Once again, they state this is crucial for the East Jesup project. Again, that'll be the topic of our Butch and Bob show. We'll have Nick Edlis and a member of the Water Department on hand today to talk about the project and what all was taking place at the East Jesup project. We'll be back with more news after this word from our sponsor of the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. In other news, the Wayne County Board of Education met Tuesday as well. The big story from that meeting is the superintendent presented the board members with a revised proposed budget in which $3 million all of a sudden removed from the budget. So instead of a $6 million increase, the increase will be only $2.9 million. Here was Superintendent Kelly explaining how the new budget proposal was reduced.
Financial management, we have offered in your folder, we have offered you a revised budget, revised tentative FY25 budget that we're asking you to look at and consider. We have reduced the difference between revenue and possible expenditures by $3 million. So that number is no longer 6.1. It's actually now 2.999849. So we reduced it by half at least. We will continue to monitor the budget, and we'll continue to try to reduce that number. We, never really get to that number, but we know that that was a desire, so we've done that so far. It really has not impacted anything significantly. We went through and cleaned out some things that we had anticipated but did not come to fruition, or some things that we were planning that may not come to fruition, so we have cleaned those out, and we'll be, if something does happen to where we need to, for you to revisit that, we can always amend the budget, okay? And so if we need to come to you and ask you for anything over and above what is in the current revised FY25 budget, we would do more, we would do that. So open for any questions or anything that we can do to maybe help pass, ask you to consider passing this new revised tentative budget.
On this new budget, Dr. Kelly, this covers our teachers' pay raise, workman comp, and the basics to get them there where they need to be at for the beginning of August 1. Is that correct, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nothing has changed that takes care of our employees or the things that we need to do. Really what we did was went in and cleaned up some things that we were anticipating, some vacancies that we had that we thought might fill but may not, so we took those out. When you take out a vacancy, then also you take out the health care, the FICA, the TRS. So that number, whenever we talk about employees, people may say, okay, this person makes $45,000. Well, really it costs the school system like $75,000 or $85,000 because, we pay all of this. So anyway, we were able to clean up a lot of that stuff. RJ's working really hard, trying to identify some things that we probably, can get out of there. We've reduced a couple of things here and there. We feel very confident that this budget will allow us to do all the things that we need to do. It takes care of all our people. More importantly, it allows our people to take care of our kids, provides them with everything that they need. And if for some reason something comes up that we need a little bit more, we will come and ask for it. But we do not anticipate that happening.
And once again, the new proposal passed 4-0. No action or movement on the Ag Facility and ROTC building, as once again the supervisors of those programs were unable to attend the board meeting. Again, schools soon to begin. Wayne County High School is going to hold a freshman orientation on Monday, August 5th from 12 noon to 3 p.m. in the high school auditorium. This is for all incoming freshmen and it's for students only. At 2:30, they'll ask the parents to join their students for a brief informational session in the high school auditorium, and then they'll visit teachers' classrooms for open house at 3 p.m. Wayne County High School open house for all grades will be held on August 5th from 3:30 to 6 p.m. Entry into the building will not be allowed until freshman orientation is completed. Students and parents may visit the classroom until 6 p.m. Student schedules will be available on parent/student portal after 3 p.m. on July 26th and may be printed or downloaded. If you do not have access to your schedule, you may stop by Wayne County High School Commons area during open house to obtain a schedule. If you have a concern with repeated courses, blank spots in the schedule, or pathway completion needs, please use the Google form on the high school counseling page to log your issues. All problems must be submitted by 3 p.m. on August 5th. Adjustments will be made if deemed necessary within the first week of school. Please do not make duplicate requests as it will backlog the system, causing delays for everyone. If you have a student who plans to drive, they'll have two opportunities prior to the first day of school to purchase a parking decal. Those dates are July 25th and August 5th. Parking permit requests must be completed online. Again, it's a $35 fee. And again, students must also have the supporting documents required, including tag, registration card, agreement signed by the student and parent, valid Georgia driver's license, and proof of current insurance. Please make sure all the fields in the application are completed. Both parent and student signatures are on the agreement, and all documents are required at time of pickup. We'll be back with some final news notes after this word from our sponsor of the commercial messages, so please stay tuned. Final notes and news. Glenn County Commissioners held a work session Tuesday. On hand, Brunswick Judicial Circuit District Attorney Keith Higgins, as the Circuit DA's office is over budget by $888,000. Higgins was on hand asking the Commissioners for more money. His request an additional $362,000 for his department's supplemental budget, which is in addition to the $1.3 million approved by the county for the fiscal year that began July 1st. Higgins told the Commission that the problem began when he hired 3 new employees to help alleviate the caseload among prosecutors back in January. Says he was unaware that there wasn't enough money to meet payroll. He states that he did not know in December that they didn't have the money to make the payroll. Says he wouldn't have hired 3 employees if he knew the problem. Higgins proposed openings opening his books to the Glenn County Finance Department and to allow the county to serve as his office's fiscal agent. County Finance Director Tamara Munson said it would not be difficult for her staff to help, but a memorandum of understanding would have to be required and a financial audit would have to come from an approved employee. Higgins says his office is audited once a year, but he says it's not a comprehensive audit like the Glenn County's audit. Higgins says he's closely watching finance to ensure that this problem does not happen again. And the circuit includes Glenn, Wayne, Appling, Jeff Davis, and Camden, and all counties help fund the DA's office. That's going to do it for latest in local news. Sports comes your way in a few minutes. Bob Morgan, say have a great day.